service in Raleigh.
The following is a production of Cary TV, the Town of Cary's government access channel.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. As you may have noticed, I am not Mayor Weinbrecht. He and his wife are on vacation celebrating their 30th wedding anniversary. So I'd like to say, Harold, when you watch this, and I'm sure you're going to be watching this, wishing you and Belinda a very happy anniversary on behalf of the council and the entire town of Cary. Councilmember France is going to start us off with our ceremonial opening.
Thank you, Mayor. If you would join me, please say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Don. We're at the adoption of the agenda at this point, and I would look for a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is adopted unanimously. We have a number of recognitions, reports, and presentations this evening. We have one that is not on your printed agenda. Generally, we have Boy Scouts here at the meeting, but I'm told tonight we have a Girl Scout with us from Troop 7000. Her name is Kaylee. I'd like to recognize her and let you know that Kaylee is the top cookie seller in Wake County.
Woo!
Oh.
Did she bring any with her? Did she bring any with her?
Yeah, she's selling them in the lobby. No, over 3,000 boxes.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Next, we have an item that we have, one that we have too much of lately, and that's a retirement of a longtime valued employee. We've been seeing a lot of that lately. And this is a presentation of a proclamation honoring Gail Taylor. So, Gail, if you would join me at the podium, and while we make our way over there, I'll turn the meeting over to Town Manager Stiegel, who'll say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Uraha, Council, Gail, Doug. Just like so many who've retired this year, Tim, Jeff, Scott Davis, Houston, the list goes on, Gail Taylor has played an integral role in building today's Cary. She's a part of that era in our organization and community's coming of age. And she's yet another who can never be replaced. We all agree that in addition to medians, parks, recreation, and cultural offerings are among Cary's defining characteristics. From staff's point of view, Gail is the glue that holds not only PRCR together, but also keeps the department connected to the rest of the organization and tied into our entire community. If something good happens in PRCR, Gail's fingerprints are on it. And if something needs to be fixed, Gail is everyone's go-to. Gail's colleagues describe her as one of the most pleasant and dedicated employees at the town, always willing to take on new roles and wade in to give others extra help, including consistently volunteering for town events, which I can attest to, from our annual volunteer banquet to Lazy Days to the dedication of Jack Smith Park. Gail is everywhere. Gail, as the council honors you tonight, I want to thank you for all you've done for this organization and our community on behalf of all of the town staff, past and present. And I would add that this is really a selfish exercise on my part. I was unable to attend her retirement ceremony because I was in Raleigh for town business. And it was really important to me to recognize Gail, not because Gail and I have worked together for a long time, but to me, Gail, in a short amount of time, has come to represent everything that is good about Cary. Before I even started working for the town, she communicated with me via email just to let me know how much I was going to like it and how much she was looking forward to working with me. Kind of found out that really wasn't true after all. She's retiring. But just has been very pleasant in every occasion. And I think, for lack of better words, in a short amount of time, Gail has made me feel like so many in Cary have, that she really cares about me. And I want to let you know how much we appreciate your service and care about you, and thank you so much for your 30 years. Sure.
You know, it's common when someone leaves a job or retires for people to say, I don't know what we're going to do without you. I mean, you say that kind of all the time. But I tell you, last week when we had your little farewell and what I'm hearing tonight, I never heard it said with such concern. They really don't know what to do without you. And it's really true. So before I read the proclamation, you have one last minute to change your mind. I'll read the proclamation. It's a proclamation honoring Gail Taylor upon her retirement. Whereas Gail Taylor has faithfully served as an administrative employee for 30 years, being promoted from a senior administrative assistant to an administrative specialist. She's been an integral part of the Park, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department. Whereas over the years, Gail has been the glue that holds PRCR together, working for at least 4 different directors. She's the first one to offer a helping hand and the last one to leave at the end of the day. Whereas Gail is described as a cheerful face in the department with her heartfelt smile, her positive attitude, and her willingness to always help staff, she has found a way to exceed of providing outstanding customer service to her coworkers and to our citizens. Many citizens consider her a friend and the go-to person to get the job done. Whereas she will enjoy her retirement from the vast administrative duties, planning of events, and coordination of board meetings, but will always treasure memories of the friends, coworkers, and volunteers she has interacted with over the last 3 decades. Now, therefore, I, Ed Yerha, on behalf of Harold Weinbrecht, Jr., Mayor of the town of Cary, North Carolina, and on behalf of the entire Cary Town Council, do hereby join the coworkers, citizens, and volunteers of the town of Cary in expressing appreciation to Gail Taylor for her loyal and dedicated service, and I extend my personal best wishes upon her retirement and for her continued success in life's pursuits. Proclaimed this 27th day of April, 2017.
I wanted to thank Mr. Stegel for requesting that we recognize Gail tonight. I think it's fantastic. You know, we recognized, I think, Jeff Alma a few weeks back and Tim Bailey prior to that. And yet, I think we all know that our administrative staff are often the backbone of the system and really makes things hum. And I am worried come Monday when Gail doesn't show up. But Gail and I have worked together for 19 years. She will be sorely missed. And I appreciate this recognition for all that she's given. And actually, Sean said everything I was going to say. The only thing I would add is we're going through an exercise now of defining what the Cary Way is. Sean's trying to figure that out. And I would just add my 2 cents that Gail Taylor is the Cary Way. So thank you very much for council.
And maybe before we let you speak, some of the other council members might like to say, so I know Councilman France has something to add.
A lot of what needed to be said has been said, Gail, but it's been my honor and privilege to get to know you, I think, over the last 8 years as liaison to the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Advisory Board. And you are truly the glue that holds that organization and that board and everybody together. I didn't come up with that phrase, but whoever did, I mean, knows you very well. We often talk about how our citizens are one of the things that make Cary one of the greatest places in the country to live, but it's also our amazing and dedicated town staff. And you exemplify exactly the type of staff that we have, always putting everybody else before yourself. No matter what anybody needs, you get it for them. Any questions anybody has, you find answers for them. You have always kept us on time, informed, and getting us everything that we need. And I don't want to make a big feet joke, but you've got some really big shoes to fill. So we are truly going to miss you. I'm going to miss seeing your face every Monday, once a month. And I wish you the best in your retirement. And just good luck. We'll miss you.
Thank you.
Please make some comments, Gail, if you'd like.
I would. Thank you for all of this tonight. I feel quite honored. But Parks and Recreation has been the perfect niche for me. Supporting the festivals and being out in the community and getting to know a lot of our citizen board members that are very passionate about their community. It's just awesome, and we have talented staff. And I think back, and when I started, Fred Bond was mayor. I worked with Mayor Bond, Annie Jones, Herb Young. Who gets to say that? It's amazing. So I'm very proud to have worked for the department, and thank you for tonight and for making me proud to call Cary home.
Our next item on the agenda is the recognition of Sports Staff for Excellence in Youth Sports Award from the National Association of Youth Sports, and Mr. McRaney will take care of that.
This is heavy. That's not good. You guys all here? Okay, great. All right. So, we are here tonight to recognize the sports division for a national award that they received this past year. In October of 2016, the town was recognized with the Excellence in Youth Sports Award, presented by the National Alliance for Youth Sports. And one note on the timing of the award, staff learned of the award in October this past year, and 2 days later, the town was awarded the gold medal, which somewhat drowned out this award. And we would have been up in front of council sooner, but due to the, how busy these guys are in managing all their leagues, it came down to April as the time we get everyone together. So I'm glad to have them all here. And so let me introduce everyone. So the staff members in the sports program include Ted Jeffcoat. You guys give a wave as Aubrey Clayton, Kirk Matthews, Mike Sink, Kyle Bacon. Good, here you are here. Dwayne Jones and William Davis. Okay. And I might say, when we add to, William is the division manager for the sports venue division, and Dwayne oversees community recreation, which includes sports. William actually managed sports for 15 or so years. And then we did our reorg. They moved out. And then a year later, these guys won the award. And so I told William, life's not fair. I did ask him to be up here since he was a large part of developing the sports program. So let me proceed. The National Alliance for Youth Sports, or NAYS, is a nonprofit agency that promotes the value and importance of sports and physical activity in the emotional, physical, and mental development of children. Founded in 1981, NAYS is focused on educating volunteer coaches and their roles and responsibility in youth sports. The Excellence in Youth Sports Award is given in recognition for the town's commitment to provide superior youth sports. Cary's youth sports offerings include baseball, softball, basketball, volleyball, tennis, and disc golf. Our year-round camps include lacrosse, running, skateboarding, BMX, volleyball, golf, basketball, baseball, softball, tennis, and soccer. The town's youth sports program philosophy provides the foundation for everyday decisions regarding rules of play, team placement, guidelines, and administrative procedures. These 4 core components encourage and promote, number 1, learning to play for the purpose of enjoying participation; 2, providing equal opportunity for play; 3, actively expanding the individual's social ability to demonstrate fair play; and lastly, gaining skills to expand the individual's participants' potential through practice and play. And so we were very proud of this national award. It reflects incredibly on the quality program that the town has created. So please join me in congratulating these staff for their hard work and dedication that they put forth to provide young citizens with a positive sports environment. Thank you, Council.
Thank you very much. It's great to see youth sports recognized in this fashion, and I thank you all for your commitment to the young folks of our community. Thank you so much. Our next item on the agenda is the Earth Day proclamation, and for that I recognize Councilmember Lori Bush.
Oh, this isn't fair. There we go. Now, you may be wondering, wasn't Earth Day on Saturday? Well, we just didn't have a council meeting on Saturday, so we're just going to talk about Earth Day here. And if you'll allow me, I'm going to take just a little bit more time than the normal proclamation, because normally when we do this, we'll do a proclamation for Earth Day, we might do something for Arbor Day, we'll talk a little bit about Spring Days, and we're just going to roll it all up into one amazing sustainability proclamation. So in honor of Earth Day, we have some special guests with us tonight, citizens who volunteer to make our community green, beautiful, and healthy. And they include the highly committed volunteers in Cary from the Cary Green Neighborhood Project, the Environmental Advisory Board, the Spruce Program, and the Adopt a Spot Program, and I said that right this time, the Block Leader Program. And what I'd like to do is ask them all to stand and be recognized. They're in the audience. Thank you all for being here. I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the volunteers, both of those that are in the audience, those who couldn't make it here tonight, who dedicate countless hours to giving back, to not only helping the town reach out to their neighbors and to share important information about the town, from our recycling programs, keeping fog. Do you know what fog is? I'll bet these people know what fog is. Every single one of them do. Does anybody know? No? That's oils and grease. I'm so proud. So keeping fog out of our drains and making sure that the only thing that goes down our drains is the rain. Also for picking up litter, planting trees, spreading mulch, building rain gardens, installing native plant gardens and rain barrels, composting. We had a composting event this last week, and so much more. We truly believe that the citizens work to make Cary a better place, a remarkable place, in fact. And Earth Day is, in fact, one of those great opportunities for us to recognize them and thank them for their service. And speaking of service, I'd like to thank a few of the staff who represent our One Cary townwide efforts to engage and inform our community. And they're already here at the podium. Morgan Bossy and Sarah Justice, you guys raise your hand behind me, because that worked so well when Ed did it, or Doug did it. They're from the Parks, Recreation and Cultural Resources. Ken Gutman from Public Information. Shrishna Guilford and Marie Cephalo from Water Resources, Maria Vanderloop from Utilities, Anna Orlaski for Transportation and Facilities, and Shuchi Gupta from Sustainability. There is one person who didn't often get recognized, and she's in the audience and she doesn't know that I'm going to say this, but Emily Barrett is our Sustainability Manager, Staff Liaison to the EAB, and recognizing her as well for her leadership and tireless efforts in making Cary a sustainable and vibrant community for all of our citizens. We appreciate all of you joining us here tonight for the valuable work that you do for the town on behalf of the environment. And I would also be remiss if I didn't encourage all of those who want to learn more about the town's great environmental programs, the green programs that we have, to follow the Cary at Green Facebook page if you're not already following it, and to check out the sustainability webpage on townofcary.org. Also, it's Spring Days this Saturday, so make sure you come out at Bond Park, and staff will be there, and I'm sure they can't wait to talk to you about all the ways you can keep Cary green and clean and litter-free. I think we say that all the time on Cary Matters. And beautiful. Thank you, Jennifer. And with that, let me read the proclamation, which I've been told is in nice, large letters for me to read. Thank you for that. All right. So, whereas we are fortunate to live in a region so bountifully endowed with natural assets, and we feel a responsibility to work together to preserve our environment by keeping it clean, healthy, and beautiful, the town of Cary has designated April 29th as Cary Earth Day 2017. And whereas 2017 marks the 25th anniversary of the Block Leader Program, the town's oldest environmental volunteering program that connects over 9,000 households with information about green programs and services from the town. And whereas the town is celebrating the creation of Pollinator Garden at the Page Walker through a special collaboration between the Cary Women's Club, the Cary Garden Club, and the Friends of the Page Walker through Cary's Adopt a Spot program. And whereas the town is celebrating the achievement and national recognition as a certified community wildlife habitat through our Cary Garden for Wildlife program by the National Wildlife Federation, where we encourage homes and schools and businesses to commit to simple actions to help local wildlife. And whereas the town is celebrating an important milestone in urban agriculture by establishing the Good Hope Farm partnership with the Piedmont Conservation Council, creating a space for healthy food to be grown locally in celebration of Cary's agricultural past and its sustainable agricultural future. And whereas the town would like to recognize the folks that are here from the Cary Green Neighborhood Project, participating neighborhoods, and their volunteer teams who in 1 year have put in over 2,000 hours of their time organizing more than 30 activities and engaging with 3,200 households about green actions, and in recognition of the gold level earned by the Regency Communities and Highland Oaks, silver level earned by Buckhurst West, Lockmere, and Rigsby Farm, and participant level earned by Stony Brook Estates and Boundary Village Apartments. Whereas the town of Cary on April 29th, 2017 will observe our own Earth Day 2017 by holding an event in conjunction with Spring Days at the Fred G. Bond Metro Park, where there will be informational booths about town programs and services that help preserve and protect the environment. Now, therefore, I, Lori Bush, Councilmember at Large, of the town of Cary, on behalf of the mayor and the entire Cary Town Council, do hereby proclaim April 29th, 2017 as Cary Earth Day 2017, and I encourage all of our citizens to join in the observance of our planned events. Proclaim this 27th day of April 2017. Ta-da. Did you like to make some comments?
Mayor, Council, and Mr. Stegall, thank you so much for commemorating the 47th Annual Earth Day in this way. Our multi-departmental team would like to echo Councilmember Bush's sentiment that volunteers and community engagement are key to helping us all work together as informed citizens to not only protect the environment, but also to make it better. We look forward to continued progress and innovation in how we approach the many challenges and opportunities that face our community as we work together to keep Cary great. By making decisions using the triple bottom line approach that seeks wins for people, the planet, and the economy. We will see you now at Spring Days. Thank you again.
Thank you all for being here, staff and citizens alike. There's so many of you. It's a wonderful thing. You can't always see that on camera, but there's a lot of people here showing their passion for this subject. So thank you, and keep going out there and keeping Cary green. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Our next item is Public Speaks Out. We've included instructions for speaking at this forum on the printed agenda. Hopefully you have one. If you'd like to speak, please take a seat in the rows to my right that are shown as reserved and follow the instructions on the agenda. Public Speaks Out speakers have up to 3 minutes, each for comments, and speakers may speak on any topic as long as it's not a public hearing. So we have a few public hearings tonight, and you can't talk about those things. You do that later. Everything but the public hearings. I'll enforce the 3-minute time limit to be fair to all speakers. A timer is located on the speaker's podium, and when the green light turns yellow, the speaker will have 30 seconds remaining. And when time expires, the yellow light will change to a flashing red light, and the speaker should immediately conclude their comments. I thank all speakers in advance for adhering to the 3-minute time limit, and we also ask that groups have a spokesperson to speak on their behalf to reduce repetitive comments. I thank everybody in the audience for respecting that this is a business meeting. So I ask you, please do not applaud, make remarks from your seat, or anything else that distracts from the meeting. With that having been said, I'll now open Public Speaks Out for anyone who wants to speak, and the first speaker may approach the podium via the aisle to my right. As you come down, you give the clerk your completed contact card and any handouts you might have for the council to see. And I may have said all that for nothing. Seeing no one, oh, somebody coming, Public Speaks Out. Please give us your name.
Hi, I'm Ravi. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to share my story. I'm here to tell about my son and his wish that fulfilled in an incredible way. My son is Riyansh. He was 4 years old. He was very active, lovable, and these 4 years he shared so much of love with us, family and friends. Everyone who meets him, they immediately fell in love with him because of that much love he shows. He cares about the people. And Riyansh always wanted to be a police officer. His favorite game was pretend to being one police officer. And he dressed up as a police officer for the last Halloween. Since then, he believed that indeed he's a police officer. And he was flashing cop cars and the flashing lights. When we lost him, we reached Town Council, Satish Garmilla and Cary Police Department, attending few officers for his funeral service, but we got tremendous response from them, and we were overwhelmed with their support and their participation. And Cary Police Department, they awarded as an honorary deputy sheriff title and police badge, medals, and American flag. I feel he truly deserved that, because sometimes I used to ask him, why do you want to police? So he used to say, I want to catch bad people. I want to rescue people. So he nicknamed himself as a rescue Riyansh, because he wanted to rescue people. So I feel he deserves this honor. And Cary Police Department, Raleigh Police Department, and state troopers, they not only attend the ceremony, attend the service, they led the funeral procession. We as the Riyansh family and friends couldn't have asked for a better way to bid him farewell. We truly appreciate the support provided by the Town Council and Police Department. My heartfelt thanks to each and every police officer and Town Council members, those who attended for his service and those who voted for him, from the bottom of my heart. My special thanks to Mostly Town Council, Mr. Satish Garmilla, and Police Officer Jerry McCormick, and Chief Godwin, Town staff, and last but not least, the Town Council. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir, for coming and making those comments and just for being here.
Thank you.
Please know you have our sincere condolences, and also know that Riyansh is not going to be forgotten. He's going to be remembered around here, I think, for a long time. I noticed Morrisville Councilmember Garamella, and we really want to thank him also for his compassion and alerting us to Riyansh's passing. And as far as our police department, Chief Godwin and Captain McCormick and others, wow, I guess is all I can say about that. I know Chief Godwin wrote that in his long career, and I might add a long and distinguished career, he said this was the highlight of his career. And that means something. And I think from my standpoint, I've never been prouder to be a Cary citizen than when I heard and saw what our police department did. So I thank you so much again. Thank you for coming and speaking out. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you.
Anyone else for Public Speaks Out? If not, we'll close Public Speaks Out and move to our consent agenda. We only have 2 items on the consent agenda tonight. We have minutes and the approval of a resolution scheduling a public hearing for SAS Institute Incorporated and Reedy Creek Investment LLC Annexation 17A04. Would any council member like either of those items pulled? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda is passed unanimously. Now it comes time for our public hearings. The same rules apply as applies to Public Speaks Out, except now you have 5 minutes instead of 3 minutes to make your comments. Our first public hearing is 17A04, SAS Institute Incorporated, and Reedy Creek Investments LLC annexation. And I recognize Meredith Gruber.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem.
Excuse me. We're not the SAS one. I knew I'd make a mistake at some point. It's annexation 16A23, of course.
Glad I have the number up here.
The Peggy Harwood Luter and Grover Luter annexation.
Perfect.
You can speak about either one.
I only have a script for this one, so I'll go with that. This request is for an annexation of 3 properties totaling 21.46 acres located in the northwest quadrant of the Green Level Church Road and Carpenter Fire Station Road intersection as shown on this map. The annexation also includes 6.24 acres of adjacent right-of-way. The property is located within Cary's ETJ, or extraterritorial jurisdiction, and is contiguous to the existing corporate limits. It is zoned mixed use. The request is associated with a development plan for Amberley Place, which proposes a shopping center and a mix of non-residential uses, including 77,000 square feet of commercial retail use. Following the public hearing, council may take action on this request. This concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Meredith. I'll open the public hearing now for 16A23, the Luter annexation, and call the first speaker forward if there is someone here to speak. Seeing no one, I'll close this public hearing and ask council if they have any questions or comments. And if not, a motion would be in order.
Make a motion to approve annexation 16A23.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The annexation passes unanimously. Thank you. Meredith stays right up there for public hearing number 2, 17 REZ 05, the White Oak Church PDD.
Great. Thank you again. This is a rezoning request for about 19 acres in southwestern Cary. The subject properties are located along White Oak Church Road, north of Green Level West Road. You can see that they are next to White Oak Elementary School, and the White Oak Baptist Church is within the subject parcels. The existing zoning is residential 40 and residential 40 conditional use. The CU, conditional use, is referring to a condition requiring an average buffer width of 75 feet along the American Tobacco Trail. The proposed zoning is Planned Development District Minor, or PDD. PDD is sort of a make-your-own zoning district. It's a way to get mixed use in one district. The applicant is proposing this master plan, which includes a maximum of 30 townhomes, a maximum of 60 age-restricted multifamily units, a 10,000 square foot daycare, and as I mentioned a moment ago, the White Oak Baptist Church is included in the PDD master plan. The buffer and streetscape plan for the PDD complies with the land development ordinance. There is one case where they're requesting a reduction, where you see the blue buffer between the proposed daycare site and the White Oak Resource Center site. That is shown as a 10-foot type B buffer, and the land development ordinance would require a 20-foot buffer. The Imagine Cary Community Plan is the document that sets the course for achieving Cary's desired future. This plan includes policies that are used to evaluate such requests like this rezoning case. And with this request, adding housing types that are not currently available in the area has the potential to align with policies in the Live chapter, which is housing, the Work chapter, which is economic development, and the Serve chapter. Further analysis is needed to determine if or how appropriate transitions could be made between existing homes and the potential future development. As per the Future Growth Framework Map, that's in the SHAPE chapter, or that's the chapter that guides our community's growth, the development category is suburban neighborhood. That's predominantly single-family detached housing on acres of a quarter acre or more lots. The property is also within the green level special planning area, and that provides a further level of vision in the Cary Community Plan. And you'll see on this map, Area 3, that is yellow, the neighborhoods west of Flat Branch. Single-family housing predominates in this area. Pockets of other housing types, such as small lot single-family townhomes or specialty multifamily, may be reasonable if they're on sites of limited size, and that would be about 10 acres or less. Cary's latest GIS maps do show stream buffers on the southernmost subject property. There is a future community park plan north of the subject properties. White Oak Church Road is an existing collector road, and the future section would include, as it does now, one travel lane in each direction, but also bicycle lanes. A traffic study was required for this rezoning request. The property is outlined in light teal on the map. The red dots show study intersections, and the blue dots show driveway or access points that were studied. As of right now, the applicant is not proposing to make any mitigations within their plan development document. One example is where you see the 3 on this map. Northbound left turn lane is recommended to reduce the potential for queuing, since that's right below the White Oak Elementary School. There are no Go Cary routes in this area, and there aren't any planned at this time. On March 1st, we did have a neighborhood meeting here at Town Hall. 25 property owners came, and they shared concerns about the types of housing that are proposed, potential traffic, and landscape buffers. I've also received quite a few emails and phone calls about this case, and a summary of some of those comments include more concern about the housing types, how high the multifamily building can be, and what the property maintenance would be like. Concern about buffers, both adjacent to the homes and the American Tobacco Trail. There are some questions and concerns about environmental impacts, such as flooding and wildlife habitats, maintaining those. And also a question was posed about the fact that there's no transit or services to support senior housing or potential affordable housing. Notification of this public hearing was sent to properties shown in yellow on this map. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Meredith. Is the applicant here to make any comments? As the applicant is coming forward, I just want to remind everyone that the council will not be taking action on the rezoning tonight. We're going to be referring it to our Planning and Zoning Board, and it'll come back to us at a future meeting, just so we know that. Mrs. Topp.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of council. My name is Glenda Topp, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the church. Staff did an excellent job explaining the proposed request, both tonight and in their staff report, so I'm going to try to be brief. White Oak Church is proposing to build a small planned community adjacent to their existing church and resource building. What is planned is a 10,000 square foot daycare, 30 townhomes, up to 60 age-restricted multifamily dwellings. The townhomes are adjacent to the existing elementary school, and the daycare is adjacent to the resource building. It's also important to note that I think it's been about 10 years ago that this property was annexed into Cary and was rezoned R40, and one of the parcels was zoned to R40 conditional use. As staff pointed out, the PDD is located in the suburban development category and is part of the green level special planning area. Over the last 10 years, this area has seen a substantial amount of growth. The growth includes residential subdivisions, places of worship, and a Wake County Elementary School that opened in August of 2016. White Oak Baptist Church brought sewer to the area to serve the resource center. Having sewer available was also instrumental in Wake County being able to open the much-needed elementary school in fall of 2016. This area is in a stage of transition from what was imagined in the old Southwest Area Plan to the current Cary Community Plan. Surrounding land in this area has been sold and redeveloped, and as you know, there have been several rezoning cases along this corridor. The adopted Cary Community Plan acknowledges the changing conditions in this area. The new plan does allow for higher densities than what was allowed in the old plan. Although this area is designated for predominantly single-family detached homes, the plan does speak to allowing some areas for townhomes, specialty multifamily such as senior housing, care facilities, affordable housing, and institutional uses. All the uses that are proposed in the PDD are identified as potential uses in the Cary Community Plan and within the suburban development category. The proposed development is clustered around the existing church, the existing White Oak Elementary School, and the Resource Center. These uses have created a small node, thus making the location ideal for the uses proposed in the PUD. Just briefly, the proposed PUD does comply with many of the policies found in the Cary Community Plan. More housing choices are being offered. The plan talks about a need for a variety of housing types that reach a variety of income levels and age groups. Again, townhomes are proposed. Senior housing is being proposed by placing an age restriction on the residency. And I do want to point out that the definition that we have used for age-restricted housing for this rezoning is the same that it's been used for others. Currently, most of the development in this area addresses one type of housing project appealing to somewhat of a limited segment of the population. We believe that the housing that's provided will offer more housing opportunities in this area. Again, the opportunity is there for the people living in this area to be able to live where they work. For some teachers who are at the school could be in the townhomes, also people working at the resource center. So we do see this as an opportunity to provide housing for people that are in this area in facilities that are non-residential in nature. I also want to point out that the location is close to the American Tobacco Trail and a future town park, meaning that these people that are moving here will also have an opportunity to take advantage of Cary's great parks and greenway system. The purpose of a rezoning is to determine whether or not the land uses and densities allowed in the proposed zoning district are appropriate for the site. We believe the answer is yes. The proposed land use and densities are appropriate for this site. To summarize, the proposed PDD is in compliance with the Cary Community Plan. The pocket of townhomes and age-restricted multifamily housing are appropriately sized and reasonably sited near the existing school, existing church, the resource center, and White Oak Road. Existing and proposed office and institutional uses begin to create a node of complementary uses along White Oak Church Road. The plan buffers and streetscapes provide an appropriate transition between the existing uses and the proposed uses. The community that will be created with the approval of the PUD is consistent with the vision and policies of the Cary Community Plan. The existing White Oak Baptist Church is one of the main cornerstones of this part of Green Level. White Oak Church has been in existence for over 150 years. The church is committed to developing a quality community for the benefit of all current and future residents of Cary. Thank you for the opportunity to address council, and on behalf of the church, we ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll open the public hearing now for 17 REZ 05 White Oak Church PDD, and the first speaker may come forward.
Good evening to Town Council. All of you know me. I've been doing this for such a long time. Tonight,
Please give us your name, even though we do know you, Reverend Tyner.
Charles Tyner. Charles Tyner, 1621 White Oak Church Road. Been there for 45 years as a leader, the pastor, CEO of the White Oak Foundation. For 152 years, this church has existed in this location. We're not new coming to town. Back in the years, we thought this day would come. It was revealed to me as pastor and leader that if we will be patient, that we will be able to do something in this community that will provide what the people need. So now, after investing in our church monies and the properties, we now come before you to say we're ready. Thank you for what you have done. Cary, you have really treated us well. We came to you some years ago telling you that we needed sewer. After going through all of that, we finally got sewer. But we got it with a loan that's payable to a bank. But thank God for the sewer, for without the sewer, we could not have this development. The name of our church is White Oak Missionary. Missionary mean that we care about people. It's not about us. It's about people in the community. And now, to all of you, it just makes sense. You have a church, the best church on this side of heaven. You have a great leader at that church, the best on this side of heaven. You have now a school that we went out and we asked them to please come and share with us, because we know that a school is important for any community. So now we got the school. Ms. Parker and others will come later and tell you that it was all made possible because we had that vision that we wanted a school in our community. Now we come to you to tell you that we desire to do 3 other things. Number 1, we desire to do some housing. Let me make sure that you understand that this housing is not for folks that don't work. These are workforce houses for people that work. We have a school with 900 kids. Those teachers, those persons that work at that school, I walked in that school. We've adopted that school. We do the PAIR program for that school, that we serve food and they take it home for the weekend. But because of that, we know that those folks need somewhere to live. There's nowhere for them to live that's affordable. I'm an educator, retired educator, along with being the best pastor. I want you to know that because they have no place to live, we just thought it would be fair that we would build some townhouses so they will have a place to live. It just makes sense. You got a police station and a fire station right around the corner. I heard through the grapevine that you're possibly looking for another place for a fire station. Where would our firemen live? They cannot afford the $600,000, $800,000 houses. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our responsibility for those who are working, those who are trying to make something of themselves, to do all we can to help them. How can we send our kids to the schools and yet not care about the teachers, the people who work in the schools? Now, doesn't it make sense for us to do a daycare? It's right there by the school. The same faculty and staff that's working in the school, they need daycare. The parents in the area need daycare. Before school, after school, it's right there. You need no transportation for them.
I hate to tell you your time has just expired, Reverend.
Thank you.
But
thank you. We need your help. Senior citizens, we want to take care of them, and we plan to do just that. Please help us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another speaker for this public hearing?
Good evening, Town Council. This man is my friend. My name is Brian Eisner, and I'm one of the pastors at Northwest Community Church. We meet at Panther Creek High School. And Pastor Tyner, I guess I'm the second best pastor at the second best church, but he has become my dear friend. And I've lived in Cary since 1995, and I had no idea what existed on White Oak Church Road until just a few years ago. And he and I have become incredibly good friends, and I think there's a lot of our community that does not understand what happens long before any of us were here. And Pastor Tyner, Except for Jack Smith, yes. They pointed to you. I would not have said that about you, sir. But for the past 45 years, Pastor Tyner has served faithfully there. I had the privilege of being invited to his 45th anniversary celebration just several weeks ago, and that was a great honor for me. And as you may know, our church owns property at the corner of White Oak Church Road and Morrisville Parkway, and we'll be building a facility at some point here, hopefully in the near future. And we've already built an incredible relationship with this church. We were able to worship together on Christmas Eve, which is just an incredible thing in the culture that we live in. For us to have done that together. Our people faithfully serve at the White Oak Foundation. They're feeding thousands of people in the Triangle area. Our people are totally vested in what they're doing there as well. So I won't speak tonight on the need for affordable housing in Cary. I think Pastor Tyner did that well. I'm here to say that we own quite a few acres up the street. And we're very excited about the ministry of White Oak Missionary Baptist Church. And I would ask you to give full consideration to their request. We understand the dilemma that you face in making that decision, as well as neighbors who own property there. But we ask you to give it full consideration. We think it'll be a great addition to our community, whatever White Oak does, because they've been quite a blessing to our community. And I hope that if this rezoning request does nothing more, that it gets the word out in our community. What a great ministry and a great service they have provided this community over 150 years. So thank you for the privilege of speaking on behalf of my friends at White Oak Missionary Baptist Church and my dear friend, Pastor Tyner.
Thank you, Pastor. Are there other speakers? Yes, I see there are.
Good evening. My name is Kathleen Herndon Lee. I'm a member of White Oak Missionary Baptist Church, and I'm the Director of Human Services for the White Oak Foundation there. We believe in caring for the total community. We offer programs that are to not only the underserved, nor just the family in crisis, but programs to homeowners experiencing hardships due to illness or loss of income, or maybe they have depleted all of their resources. We even offer education for new home buyers. Furthermore, we offer education scholarships for post-high school students and resources and activities for seniors. The White Oak Baptist Church was established back in 1865. I was born 75 years later. That means that I'm probably the oldest person in the building right now. So who knows better of how the growth has occurred in Cary and Apex than I? Because I have been here through all of the growth. I have observed the growth from farm fields, which we own some of those, farmhouses, a small wooden structured church, wagon wheel roads, to dirt roads, and to the existing high-dollar homes that we have in the area now, the new schools, and that beautiful walking and biking trail we get to enjoy. There are now revamped paved roads to meet the demands of the population and the convenient shopping on every corner for the citizens of Cary. Hats off to you, Town Council and the Town of Cary, because you have done a wonderful job planning for Town of Cary. The White Oak Foundation is requesting this zoning because we believe that structures that we are proposing, and you have heard all about them, will add to the aesthetics and the diversity of our area. And the assistant school is already there, and of course the daycare facility will complement that, a senior citizen living facility, and the homes for the working families. We believe that if we can help others to succeed, we will all benefit. For 150 years now, the White Oak Missionary Baptist Church has been a beacon of light for the community. We are excellent neighbors. Just ask White Oak Elementary School staff over there, whom we partner with the backpack program, buddy program for the kids. Just ask some of the business in the area, because we work along with them also. Ask other faith-based communities, which you are hearing from some of them right now tonight. Other services, organizations that we partner with, like the Dorcas here in Cary, and as well as Western Wake Ministry and Apex, and all the other faith-based ministries in Raleigh. Come by and see us. Get to know us and see how we serve mankind. Then you will open your heart and join us with the passion that we have for serving others. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee. Is there another speaker?
Good evening. My name is Carly Peace. I'm a mom of 3 boys, and I'm an elementary school teacher, and I'm also a member of White Oak Missionary Baptist Church. I'm here to speak to you all tonight about the incredible growth that's happening in the White Oak area and about some initiatives that I think are necessary for the overall success of our community. Cary is often ranked among the country's best places to live, and because of that, it's seen incredible population growth in such a short time. And that's resulted in new development being a familiar trend in the area. Last year, as construction on the new White Oak Elementary campus began, Wake County School Board member Susan Evans was quoted as saying, "Wake County continues to be a vibrant, attractive place for folks from other areas, and we're proud that the quality of our public school system has always played a large role in that attractiveness." It's evident that Wake County is serious about their approach to reining in good teachers. The school board has voted to attain one of the highest supplement payments in the entire state of North Carolina. This is one of the only ways that school systems are able to make salaries competitive and to entice the best teachers to come to their system. This communicates the opinion of Wake County School Board very clearly. We value teachers. The housing market in the community close to White Oak tells a different story. We value teachers from 7 a.m. till 4 p.m., but then go home to your own neighborhoods. New neighborhoods are being built and beautiful houses are going up everywhere. But my concern is that the cost of these new homes are entirely out of the reach for some of the most essential members of our community's workforce. Teachers, nurses, police officers, firefighters, and other essential professionals in our area are not likely candidates for ownership of these new homes because, let's face it, the importance of a job is not always reflected in the salary that it provides. It is necessary that we recognize the deficiency and make it attainable for these professionals to not just serve these communities, but to reside in them as well. Beautiful new schools are a sign of a healthy community. What we must consider, though, is the realistic longevity of the success of a place like that. We need to be able to attract and to retain high-quality educators. A high teacher turnover rate is not conducive to student success, but it can most certainly result from the lack of affordable housing in close proximity to the school. In the California Bay Area, for example, affordable workhouse housing has been targeted and been successful in retaining teachers when it was discovered that high housing costs were a main reason for the high turnover. Houses being built in the White Oak area are going for $500,000 That's not even in the realm of possibility for a teacher, not ever. But if they're passionate and if they're gifted to be the educator that can make a forever impact on your community and maybe even your child, shouldn't we all be burdened with the responsibility of making sure that they can be present to make that impact? By building the additional workforce housing close to the school, we're assuring that our teachers have access to affordable housing options, and in return, the community benefits immensely. To further the attractiveness of our area, I believe that the construction of the child care facility close by would be incredibly beneficial for teachers who have young children and could enjoy the benefits of next-door child care, as well as families with multiple children who have students at White Oak Elementary. The added convenience for parents and teachers alike is noteworthy. The location of this proposed daycare also provides excellent opportunities for partnerships with the school for after-school care, summer break programs, and many other possibilities that would lead to an overall strengthening of the community as a whole. My church has already begun partnerships with this school, and we are excited about the opportunity to impact new people as they join our growing community. It has always been the mission of White Oak Missionary Baptist Church, as well as the White Oak Foundation, to seek ways to meet the needs of our community. It is our belief that by caring for the total person, we can work to create a healthier, more productive, and successful community in which to raise all of our families. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Is there anyone else for this rezoning?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Betty Parker. I'm Senior Director of Real Estate Services for the WIC, as I think I will compared to them. I thought I was patient and hardworking on long-range school projects, on projects like Apex Friendship, where it took us years and years to buy the property and years to build it. And this church and their people put me to shame. The time and effort that they have spent on their projects in this area is astounding. We had the great pleasure of working with them as we developed the school site. We found in them a willing and committed partner to collaborate on road designs and funding, water and sewer extensions and funding. By the time I spoke to the principal who'd been recently hired just when they moved in, Pastor Tyner had already been there 3 times and set up backpack buddies. I have never seen a group more willing to become ensconced in the fabric of the school than this group has been. They have stepped up when funding required it. They have stepped up when easements and rights of way were needed. And it's been a wonderful experience to have that sort of relationship with a developer. From the school system's perspective, anytime we have a rezoning close to one of our schools, we look at it in a very objective way. One of the first things everyone on our board wants to know is, how is this traffic going to affect our schools? I've looked at their proposals in their traffic study. They are very minimal trips compared to what we're used to seeing with our own traffic studies. So with the road improvements that we've made with the school, and you have to love a traffic circle, and all of the widening that we've done, I feel like this situation has really set the table for any minor traffic improvements. From our perspective, we don't see an adverse impact on school traffic. We look at compatible uses. And when I look at this map that's up here, I can't help but think about activity centers that every municipality in the county has established in their UDO. They've planned for where something busy is going to be, and they've looked at how to transition out from that. These particular uses, from our perspective, are very compatible adjacent uses. We have similar adjacencies all over the county. It's a good step down in density from the hustle and bustle that can be our school out to the residential areas. And it just seems like a very natural fit. They are our largest, if not only neighbor, except for the ATT. They have us surrounded, and that gives them that much more access to us, which has been a great joy so far. So we really appreciate that. Beyond that, we try not to support or oppose anybody, but just sort of report on what our experience has been and how we see these impacts. I can only see these impacts as positive for our school system and for this particular location. So I appreciate your consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them now or later. I would point out that one detail that Mayor Pro Tem Yerba shared with me. If you think this church is old, I understand it's 4 years older than Cary. Mm-hmm. So that sort of makes them senior. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Any other speakers for this public hearing?
Hello, Council. My name is Alex Crow. I work at Shenandoah Homes. We are developing all of the property next to the church, the 10 acres to the north and the 36 acres to the east and another 44 to the east that we're working on right now. And I just wanted, this is going to be brief, I actually came here for something else, but I just want to say that I'm in support of the church. And I've met with the Pastor Tyner several times. He's a great guy. And just wanted to, from our standpoint, developing everything in that area. We're building, $800,000 houses, not $500,000 houses. So just from our standpoint, just wanted to, on behalf of the church, just vote with our support as well. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? I see no one else coming forward for this public hearing, so I'll close the public hearing. Oh.
Why not?
I take that back.
Yeah, we can do that too.
Hi, dear Council. My name is Caroline. Just a few weeks ago, I came to hear from my neighbors that they received a letter from the town of Cary about a request from the White Oak Church to rezone their properties with a plan to build 60 apartment units and 30 townhomes of affordable housing. I didn't receive the letter because my house is over 800 feet, even though it is just 3 houses away from the intended rezoning area. This made me want to learn more about the situation. For what I was hearing was not very convincing, and that is why I'm here in front of you to voice my concern. My family moved to Green Level community from San Francisco Bay Area since 2008 to escape from the urban, busy streets and noises. Before we moved, we were looking for a wooded and rural area around Cary and Chapel Hill. We finally find this beautiful Green Level community. It was exactly what we are looking for. It has the best ranking public school for our kids. It's very low density area, close to American Tobacco Trail, only 12 minutes away from my husband's work in the RTP. While property development has been increased significantly in our area, the density is about 2.5 houses per acre, which still meets this part of the Cary Southwest Area Plan as low-density community. I believe everyone living in this community, including Mr. Tyner, knows about this low-density requirement. This is the 3rd time that Mr. Tyler had attempted to make this community a high-density area, first in 2001, then 2008, and now. I'm concerned if approved, that would encourage other developers to do the same, which would lead to unwanted consequences for our council. It is commendable that Ms. Mr. Tyner's mission is provide affordable housing for the seniors. However, I do not think the Green Level community is a good location for that type of density, as suggested in the plan, due to the lack of available services. I think it is an unreasonable proposal on the part of the White Oak Church to ask these seniors to move into a community that cannot adequately provide the services they need. Lastly, traffic. The intersection of White Oak Church Road and Green Level Road, in my opinion, dangerous both day and night. And with increasing traffic, this proposal will make this intersection even more dangerous. Besides, this area is one of the favorite routes for bicyclists to enjoy nature, scenery, and fresh air. It is always also close to the American Tobacco Trail, Jordan Lake. These bicyclists ride in groups as many as 20 cyclists. My family and our neighbors also ride bicycle in the area as well. I have reason to believe that with this proposal, it will bring more traffic to the area, in addition to the White Oak Elementary School, which will reach its capacity anytime soon. Thanks for letting me to express my concerns, and I hope you will take my concern into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have some other speakers. Thank you for lining up like that. That's a big help.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike Yarborough. My family and I live at 1017 Rolling Knoll Road, which is within 800 feet of this proposed PDD. Whether or not you are aware of this, Reverend Tyner has been trying to overextend our community for many years. He has said that he wants to do this to grow his church, which is so odd because I'm only aware of 3 members of the White Oak Church who live in our community. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not the town of Cary's responsibility to help Reverend Tyner to grow his church. My family and I happen to belong to a large church, and I have learned that the best way to grow a church is to add onto an existing church facility, to build classrooms and to build programs tailored to meet the needs of families and children who live in the vicinity. The town of Cary has already approved and helped to finance White Oak Church's resource building, which is appropriate given its intended purpose and its location directly in front of the new elementary school. However, it is not the town's responsibility to enable the church to build rental housing adjacent to it, where there is no existing infrastructure to support this type of high-density and high-need housing. Only one tenant on the lease for each of the 60 age-restricted apartments needs to be 55 or older to live in the complex. Grandparents might have their children or grandchildren living there temporarily or long-term, which could impact the school population and add much more traffic to the neighborhood. The fact that they intend to build an entrance to the apartment complex off of our privately maintained gravel road is preposterous. Although they do use it, the church has not ever contributed to the cost of maintaining our road. Excuse me. Also, have you seen how unkept the White Oak Community Garden is? It began with much hard work and was beautiful, but it soon fell into an unsightly state of disrepair. This certainly makes me doubt their ability or willingness to put forth the effort needed to maintain a rental complex of this scope and size that they have proposed. These will not be owner-occupied, and renters will have little investment in our community. So we are concerned that this PDD will also fall into disrepair right at the entrance of our neighborhood. Regardless of all this, my primary concern is even more personal. Since the completion of White Oak Elementary School and the traffic circle, both of which have already added a very large area of impermeable surface. The back of our home has flooded twice. This proposal is requesting permission to add 90 attached units. And this much additional impermeable surface would certainly be detrimental to our home and to our neighborhood, as it would lead to more flooding in this immediate area and increased runoff in the local creeks and streams. This is a Triassic basin soil area, and we experience more than the typical soil runoff because there's so little pore space to hold water within the soil. Given this soil type, the large lots on which we have our existing single-family homes are necessary to prevent runoff and flash flooding like you see around the Crabtree Valley Mall. Please do the necessary research regarding this type of special soil, and please reject this rezoning request and the proposal by White Oak to build this PDD in this location. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Yarborough.
Like a midget. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lisa Yarborough. My family and I live at 1017 Rolling Knoll Road. Only one home separates us from this proposed PDD. I'm here to explain why I'm asking you to reject this rezoning request in the PDD. Policy 1 under the Live section of the Imagine Cary 2040 Community Plan states, recognize, preserve, and protect the quality and character of existing neighborhoods. While this area is in transition from farms to development, the development underway is comprised of large lot, single-family detached homes. To build apartments directly adjacent to our community is not something Cary would allow in any part of town. In fact, a rezoning request for something similar was recently rejected by Planning and Zoning because it was not in character with the existing neighborhood. That project was an infill project in town and by Habitat for Humanity. Our community is a low-density area outside of town comprised of single-family, large lot detached homes. The buffer zones in this PDD are clearly not enough screening to smoothly transition from a towering 50-foot apartment complex structure to the existing detached single-family homes or the homes that are already planned for the area. Policy 2 of the Live section includes statements such as these. The proximity of such housing to services and amenities is of high importance. Housing for seniors and others who have mobility challenges are encouraged to incur proximate to transit to improve mobility options. Housing options to accommodate first-time home buyers should be at locations that are walkable to shopping, dining, entertainment, and employment and/or are convenient to transit. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have any infrastructure in this area to support such intense and high-need development. We are not a walkable community, and we have limited access to town services. No emergency services, no medical care, no public transportation, no commercial pharmacy or grocery shopping nearby. Even future Cary Transit expansion in the surrounding area would leave this PDD at a considerable distance from any of these amenities and would be a daily burden to the town and to the proposed PDD's residents. Reverend Tyner's claim in the March 1st meeting that they will provide transportation when needed by their tenants is not a guarantee, and it cannot be considered as part of the rezoning request. Further, the applicant has stated that these 90 units will all be rental units and not an option for first-time home buyers at all. Policy 3 and 4 of the Live section includes these statements. Provide the greatest variety of housing types and densities within mixed-use centers, particularly within downtown Cary. Provide the greatest variety of housing types and densities within destination centers, commercial mixed use, and employment mixed use. The current neighborhood and already proposed developments are single-family detached large lot homes within walking distance of an elementary school and the American Tobacco Trail. This is not a mixed-use center, destination center, or a commercial or employment mixed-use area. Furthermore, the PDD's proposed 30 rental townhomes will be densely packed and directly alongside the American Tobacco Trail with nothing but a minimum buffer separating them. Nowhere else in Cary is there such intense development immediately adjacent to the Tobacco Trail. This entire area has long been designated a conservation overlay district. It is close to the Jordan Lake watershed, which provides drinking water to both Cary and Apex. 18 years ago, when we bought our home, Wake County allowed only one home per acre if there was a perk site. Wake County this has been changed. About 5 years ago, the town of Cary changed the guideline to 2.5 homes per acre and designated this as a suburban planning area. This proposed PDD by White Oak Church is 5 times the new allowable density and more than 12 times what the original R40W zoning designation would have allowed. The applicant has described this PDD as affordable housing and an exceptional pocket of higher density development appropriately fitting into Cary's development plans. Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, there will be high-density housing owned and rented by White Oak Church to benefit the church and its members. I'm very concerned that this proposal goes against the spirit of the Imagine Cary 2040 community plan. This PDD would be a very poor use of the pocket of higher density exception that is included in the town's very well thought-out plan. Common sense alone would say that this high-density PDD is completely out of character with the surrounding area and would have a very negative impact on the general beauty, feel, openness, and character of the area. It would add a tremendous strain on the town's emergency services and add a tremendous amount of traffic to the area that's already dangerous intersections, as my neighbor described. This PDD could also be a green light to create more high-density housing in this area, and all of this would completely devastate Cary's green level special planning area and destroy what we love about our historic community. Please, I implore you, reject this rezoning request and this PDD. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Yarbrough.
Good evening, Town Council. My name is Sherry Courtney. My husband and I, along with our 2 children, live at the end of Ridgeback Road. Our children attend White Oak Elementary School, and my father-in-law has lived on Ridgeback Road for over 30 years. To say that our family is invested in this area is a complete understatement. Over the last few weeks, I've familiarized myself with the Imagine Cary plan and share several concerns with my neighbors about the White Oak Foundation's proposal and how they apply to the Green Level community. Green Level has been a special planning area for many years because of its historic and scenic value, as well as being a conservation area designed to protect Jordan Lake. The high density in the northwest, proximate to RTP, was to be offset by lower density in the southwest area. Development pressure has made this more difficult over time, and the concession to slightly raise the density allowed in the area was carefully designed to fit between the Chatham County plan and the Cary plan immediately to the east. The 2.5 units per acre is not intended to be an overall green level density. As Cary has always done, density cap should be applied to each development. To do anything else does not provide the protection that Jordan Lake so desperately needs. There is to be a max of 2.5 dwelling units per acre gross. While the staff defines this as a total of 2.5 dwelling units over the entire area, past use of this type of designation and public perception define it to be 2.5 dwelling units per acre of the proposed development. When we built our house in 2009, Darren and I had to have 2 acres in order to build off of 2 acres that my father-in-law owned. We had to subdivide. What the White Oak Foundation is proposing is 5 times that density and simply does not fit in this community. The use of the PDD zoning to slide in a proposal that would otherwise be allowed bypasses the intent of the PDD use. This proposal does not meet the conditions and makes no meaningful concession overall character of the area and simply places the highest density possible on all the developable property. While pockets of special housing are allowed, the definition of pocket seems to be stretched to the breaking point here. A school next to townhomes, next to a daycare, next to a church, next to apartments, not to mention the 3 neighborhoods having 200 plus single-family homes, which Capital Properties has under contract to build in the next few months. That's not a pocket, nor is it low density. The White Oak Foundation has a history of starting plans and not completing them. This is the 3rd time they've tried to have this area rezoned, and the 4th time that they've tried to create affordable housing option in Wake County. In 2008, they partnered with NC Community Development Initiative to develop a $15 million affordable housing option in Apex, which failed. The White Oak Community Garden, which is beside the church, is overgrown, and what vegetables did grow rotted or were eaten by local wildlife. Outside of Reverend Tyner and the maintenance person for the church, none of the members of the White Oak congregation live in this area. No one took care of the grounds. It was a great idea, and the garden went to an unsightly waste. The conditions in the proposal are loosely defined and not likely to be regulated. We have serious doubts on the White Oak Foundation's abilities to own, manage, and rent such properties. This proposal abuses the definition of a PDD. The PDD designation is being used to skirt around the intent of the community plan and zoning. This plan offers nothing significant in exchange for a proposal of something totally out of character with the surrounding area. Increases to buffer are not an adequate trade-off. The apartments will be at the juncture of what is now a privately maintained road, in the future plans, a major collector and thoroughfare. I understand from the Imagine Cary plan that pockets of high-density housing is encouraged and in some cases granted incentives. When speaking to the NC Wildlife Resource Commission, they described some of the wonderful initiatives that they are partnering with the town of Cary on. They also confirmed that the additional building of high-density houses in the same area that 200-plus single-family homes are already being built in would have a significantly negative impact on wildlife environment in our area. In the March 1st neighborhood meeting, several of us expressed numerous concerns, the possible side effects on Jordan Lake, building sizes and heights, the tremendous scope and density of this proposed project, the additional traffic, the safety concerns for our children, bicyclists, the tobacco trail users, lighting concerns, our privately maintained road, the potential for additional flooding given the Triassic Basin, and that this PDD will not transition well with the character of our community. Sadly, the White Oak Foundation did not address any of those concerns in the meeting and has not attempted to communicate or compromise with us. In addition to comments made by Tyner in the meeting, I directly asked him, I applaud you for serving the community, but is this for your congregation? Because he made several comments that his congregation has a need. Well, that's great, but that doesn't benefit the community, and I find that very discriminatory. So I'm asking you, as well as my neighbors, the White Oak proposal does not fit the green level special planning area. We strongly urge you to reject this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Courtney. Anyone else? I don't see anyone else. So we'll close the public hearing this time. And I don't know if the council has any comments or questions.
I just wanted to ask, there were two comments that I'd like to ask about that some of the residents nearby asked about. There was a comment about the height of the buildings in the surrounding area. Could you comment on that?
So you're asking what are the heights of the school?
Compared
to what's in the area? If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to ask Ms. Top to come up and answer that question. I know she and Mr. Tang were looking at that information.
Good evening, Council. Ed Tang with us, Ravenel. The height of the White Oak Elementary School, I believe, in reviewing the plans for the school, it's a three-story building. It is 46 feet 8 inches, I believe, to the top of the parapet of the third floor. There's an additional 15 feet above that for, I think, maybe their HVAC, some screening that's on the roof. So if you add that tallest part, that building is over 60 feet. So as a comparison to what is being requested here.
And the request current height?
The maximum height on the age restricted is 50 feet in the
50.
request.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from the council? Certainly there's a lot to chew on here over the next month or two.
If there's no other comments, I just want to make a couple. If that's
Sure.
okay. I've heard a number of comments tonight about rental, about affordable housing. At the end of the day, we can't consider whether this proposal is rental. We can't consider if it's owner occupied. We can't consider if it's low income. We can't consider if it's $500,000 units. What we are ultimately determining is the land use appropriate, is the density appropriate, and is it compatible or fit in with its surrounding community. So whether it's rental, low income, high income or not, that's something we legally cannot consider. So I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, and one thing that we said in a recent application is that we consider the land use. We don't consider who the applicant is, because applicants can change. The rezoning doesn't go with the applicant, it goes with the land itself. That is something important for us.
Absolutely. Just because the church is applying for this, there's no guarantee the church is ultimately the one that develops it. They get the rezoning. So we have every expectation that they would, but we can't base our decision on that.
It would be very interesting in the
future, maybe when this comes back or before it goes to Planning and Zoning Board, there were a lot of comments about not just traffic, but dangerous conditions near this area. If the police department or anyone else can provide some information with respect to that. Dangerous is a objective term. It'd be nice to have some, or subjective term, it'd be nice to have some objective data around that.
Certainly.
Yeah. Meredith, one other thing. We always talk about that our stormwater runoff standards are such that new projects shouldn't have any runoff whatsoever. If you can look into that flooding situation that's going on there and just help us understand why that's happening, because it shouldn't be happening with our standards today. So just to help us understand that.
I can get some help with that also.
Thank you.
I mean, I think what I understand is our guidelines is you cannot make the situation worse. So if anything, any development should make it better or not.
Keep it the same or make it better. That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. We will refer this to the Planning and Zoning Board, and it will come back to us probably in a couple months.
Yes.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
The next item is a public hearing for 17 REZ 09, which is called 7425 Wake Road. And Katie Dry will introduce this item. And just like the last one, the council is not going to take action tonight, but it also will be referred to our Planning and Zoning Board and come back to us at a future meeting. Katie?
Good evening, Council. For your consideration is a request to rezone 1 acre at 7425 Wake Road. The site is highlighted here in yellow. Wake Road is accessed and west of Green Level Church Road. You can see Green Level Church to the east here. And it's north of Kit Creek Road. The site is currently vacant and is mostly wooded. There was a detached dwelling located on the site which was recently removed. It is located north of and adjacent to the Village of the Park neighborhood. You can see the townhomes for the Village of the Park to the south. This map indicates the current zoning for the existing lots in the area. The current zoning for the subject site is R40. Current zoning for lots to the north side of Wake Road are also R40. Properties to the east, located here, both north and south of Wake Road, are zoned office research and development, and the properties to the south are zoned mixed-use district. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property to residential 8 conditional use. The zoning change or request would keep the land use as residential, but would allow an increase in density and set a minimum lot size of 8,000 square feet. The applicant has proposed a zoning condition for the rezoning request to limit the land use to detached dwellings. Due to the size and shape of the subject site and other site constraints, if rezoned, the applicant could create a maximum of 3 lots on the subject site. And it would also not be subject to certain requirements of the Land Development Ordinance as directed by the North Carolina General Statutes. The lots would be required to meet or exceed the town's dimensional standards, such as minimum lot size and setbacks, but right-of-way dedication, road improvements, streetscape, and buffers would not occur. As the case progresses, staff will be evaluating the rezoning with respect to aspects of the Cary Community Plan. The aspects for evaluation for the plan will include looking at the plan's policies and the site's future growth framework map designation. A preliminary evaluation of the plan has been conducted, which includes a review of all plan policies to identify those that are applicable. A list of the plan policies and those that were selected for applicability are included in the body of the staff report. A full evaluation of the case under the Cary Community Plan will be provided as the case progresses and goes to the Planning and Zoning Board following the public hearing tonight. Some of the policies that were found to be applicable with the site dealt with infill, the type of housing, and increased housing choices, the site being an appropriate use within the mixed neighborhood designation, and also the road designation of Wake Road, which has recently been designated as a collector avenue. The town's future growth framework map indicates the development category for the subject property as mixed neighborhood, which is depicted in the dark pink in this image in the slide. The neighborhood type for mixed neighborhood contains a substantial variety of housing types, unit sizes, lot sizes, and densities. To provide an example of that,
The Amberley neighborhood is looked at as an example of the mixed neighborhood, which is generally characterized by large master plan communities. Predominant use types for this category include single-family detached, single-family attached, multifamily housing. The R8 zoning district, which is what is being requested, is typically an appropriate use within the mixed neighborhood development category. According to the Town of Cary GIS maps, the site is not impacted by stream buffers. The Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Facilities Master Plan, which is identified in the engaged chapter of the Cary Community Plan, proposes no new public parkland or public greenways on the subject property. Street side trails are proposed just to the east of the property along Green Level Church Road. According to the MOVE chapter of the Cary Community Plan, Wake Road is a collector avenue, as you can see indicated here in blue, which is anticipated to be improved to a 3-lane undivided road section. This is an excerpt from the MOVE chapter of the Cary Community Plan, which shows the description for collector avenues. Collector avenues are designed to have limited curb cuts, so driveways are typically held to a minimum. Further, Cary standard specifications and details manuals indicates that individual driveway cuts serving single-family residential units must not be allowed on collector avenues. Staff also notes that for this site, due to the size and number of lots, the subject development would be exempt from the subdivision requirements per the North Carolina general statutes. Therefore, if the rezoning is approved, Cary would not have the ability to prevent residential driveway cuts on a collector avenue. Staff also notes that the subject development would be exempt from subdivision requirements per the NC general statutes. So again, if the rezoning is approved, Cary would potentially have to purchase additional right-of-way from the property owners in order to widen Wake Road to its ultimate section. There was a neighborhood meeting held for this site on March 15th here at the Town Hall. There were 5 nearby property owners in attendance. Questions and concerns included concern over the potential loss of trees behind the Village at the Park neighborhood. There was also questions about the Cary Community Plan and its implication for the area. Questions also regarding the future of Wake Road. Properties within 800 feet of the subject site were notified of the public hearing. These properties are highlighted here on this map in yellow. The property was posted with public hearing signs and legal ads were placed in accordance with the Town of Cary Land Development Ordinance. This concludes staff's presentation. The applicant is here to share comments regarding the rezoning request. Following that, staff will be available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Stride. The applicant, please come forward.
Mayor Pro Temp, Council, members of the staff members of Town of Cary, audience here, those watching the stream online, including my wife. Good evening, one and all. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to present my case. My name is Anant Narayanan. Myself and my wife Harini own the property at 7425 Wake Road. The property is a vacant lot, and as Katie mentioned, it is zoned as R40. We are requesting to rezone as R8 and subdivide to a maximum of 3 lots. This is a conditional zoning restricting the use of the land for development of single-family homes. I would like to keep my comments very brief, and I would like to talk about 3 major considerations that were brought up in the staff report. One is the justification for subdivision. Is it consistent with the land use for this neighborhood? Second is the right-of-way, and third is the road cut. And I would like to address all these 3 things. Regarding the justification, I think Katie spoke my case, so I don't have to say that again. So the growth framework category, this is listed as a mixed neighborhood, which supports a variety of different kinds of residential developments. It's consistent with Imagine Cary's vision. The lots behind this parcel are townhomes with significantly smaller lot sizes and heavier density. So this rezoning to an R8 is not an exception, or it's not going to significantly alter the density of land use for this particular property. And also the market in Cary is trending to smaller lots, and then kind of, it's this area specifically is, it's slowly increasing in density. So it doesn't feel like the request that's being made by us is inconsistent or contrary to what is sketched out in Imagine Cary. So moving on to the next item. The next item is about the right-of-way. So I want to note a few other items, that's not there in the staff report. So the property, as per the deed, is 1 acre. In 1980, a right-of-way of 30 feet from the center of Wake Road was granted to DOT, and I want to note that here. And the current lot size is not 1 acre. Because of that right-of-way, it's about 0.7 acres. So for this rezoning request, as mentioned earlier in the staff report, additional right-of-way is not required because of the size of the property. It's exempt from additional right-of-way. And also, additional right-of-way is not desirable for the following 3 reasons. Reason number 1, the geometry of the piece of property. So as you can see, this property has a 440 feet of road frontage. The property on the west end near the Denhoff Drive is really narrow, and it's only about 23 feet. So most of the west side of the property cannot be built on due to setback requirements. If we had to give out an additional right-of-way, that it's going to significantly reduce the building footprint and essentially make this subdivision case not viable. Secondly, dedicating the right-of-way will require us to develop roads and sidewalks or work through with Town of Cary to get a waiver. So for a size of, for a lot that's 0.7 acres with 440 feet road facing width, it's simply not feasible to do that. Of course, if we're exempt from doing it if we do not dedicate the right of way, and that all the more reason for us to not dedicate any additional right of way. The one thing I also want to mention is that the right of way of 30 feet is consistent with neighboring lots. To expect that our lot have to have an additional right of way, it seems a little unfair because our neighbor has that exact same right of way as we have. So I just also want to make that. So in the future, if there's a road development, then you have to deal with everybody, not just me. The third point I would like to mention is that currently the road width on one side is less than 10 feet. So there is still plenty of place to work with for the road improvements, the 3-lane road improvements that Katie talked about. Moving to my third agenda, which is the road cuts. I want to make a very simple case here, is that for a lot that's 0.7 acres, this particular property has 440 feet of road-facing width. So I did a little study about how many road cuts do you get in various other collector streets in different parts of Cary. So with a 440, you're looking at 150 feet, a road cut per 150 feet. It does seem reasonable, and I don't have any statistic that I can show you, but I've done done a bit of research, and in many streets, including North Academy Street, the road, the driveway distance is about 120 feet. So it's not going to adversely affect the traffic flow with the request, especially because of the road frontage that it had. Now, if it did not have that kind of road frontage, then that argument could be acceptable. But in this case, I think it's the request is justified because of the amount of road frontage that I have, right? So in conclusion, I would like to say that the proposed subdivision is consistent with Town of Cary's vision. It has very minimal impact on the traffic flow, and also, the right-of-way, we already have a 30-feet right-of-way, and this property is exempt from providing additional right-of-way to Town of Cary. Last but not the least, I would like to express my very sincere gratitude to the staff members of Town of Cary, in particular the case manager, Ms. Katie Dry. I have called her gazillion times. And it's a minor miracle that she does not listen to my voice and hang up the phone on me. So thank you so much, Katie. Thank you so much, Town of Cary. I am very hopeful that this case will be adjudicated in favor of us. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. It's time now to open the public hearing for 17 REZ09, and I'd call the first speaker forward if someone is here to speak.
Irish pub in New Hampshire.
Anyone at all? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask the council if they have any questions or comments.
A question for Ms. Dye. Can you better speak to the future road widening or plans on Wake Road and how not getting any additional right-of-way may impact that?
Yes, so I believe we have a person from Transportation Facilities to talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you.
Hi, Ken Dunn with Transportation Facilities. So our CTP shows that road is a collector avenue. Currently, there's no plans for us to widen it. It's more to come along with the development, as is traditional for most road widening within the town. Our main concern was that we would lose the opportunity to get that right away if this sort of develops with the exception that's allowed by the state.
Our plans do not show anything wider than a two-lane collector road?
It shows a three-lane collector, a collector avenue.
Turn lane.
Yeah,
okay.
Through that section.
And that's my only question.
But just for clarification, the expectation, if this, let's say an applicant was coming in and developing this particular parcel with the land to the east, we would expect them to build out, not only dedicate their right-of-way, but we'd expect them to build out their portion of the roadway so that it achieved a three-lane cross-section.
That's correct.
I have a question. This reminds me of something, a recent one that we had on Holly Springs Road, right? Is this similar to that?
When we consulted with the attorney's office about the the exceptions, that was brought up. They mentioned that it did remind them of the Holly Springs Road case, but the applicant for this case was not offering to dedicate the right-of-way, so that was the difference between those two, from my understanding. I wasn't here for that one.
Okay.
I thought I heard earlier in the conversation that we waived the right-of-way at some of the other development there. Did I hear that wrong, or?
Not that I'm,
No, okay.
not that I'm aware of.
Did I hear that?
They had similar conditions, but we didn't allow that or waive that.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's not our problem if you bought an odd piece of land that we have to accommodate so that you can take the maximum use of that. I mean, the right-of-way is critical for the future, right, from my perspective.
That's what makes this so tricky, because of course you want everyone to be successful in his endeavors, but at the same time, our town is built on everybody sharing the responsibility to build out the road network, and that's what makes our community the way that it is today. So we really expect people to, when they buy the piece of property, to fully understand what the ramifications are and obligations put upon them by the town, by being in the town. So it just makes this a very challenging one for us to accept.
I mean, we had one out there before where it was like a property that was a little bit landlocked, and it was an odd piece. And, you know, if we made all the exceptions, it would take away all of our flexibility for future development. So
yeah,
I'm just saying that this is a tough call, but
right. And our standards have changed over the years for how much distance we want between driveway cuts on a collector road. So I'm not sure if the measurements that have been taken in the applicant's study takes into consideration that our standards have changed over time and that we have a higher standard today than we did when Academy Street was developed.
Mr. George, you had some comments?
Yeah, a couple of questions. So if the additional, if they were required by statute to dedicate the right of way, it would be an additional above the 30. It would go to 50. What would it go to?
No, from our research, we did find the document that was noted there as well, but what we had noted was that the owner retained fee ownership of the underlying land, so it was basically an easement, a right of way.
Easement, not right of way.
Across there, yeah, that's probably more like what was actually dedicated there.
All right, so but that was 30 feet from the center line. And if we were to dedicate, with the collector, what would it be, 50 from the center line?
It was 35 feet.
So 5 extra feet, but it'd be dedicated.
Yes.
So I guess I'm wondering with the setbacks, that if someone built to the minimum setback of their lot line, they would be going, there's a 30-foot mark, would be where they'd start counting their setback?
They would actually have to set their setback from the ultimate right-of-way, the way the town's land development ordinance reads. So even if they weren't dedicating that extra 5 feet or dedicating any right-of-way, we would require the setback to occur from that ultimate right-of-way, which would be 35 feet from the center line.
So they'd have to build in the same spot, whether they dedicated or not, and then the ultimate question would be whether the town wound up widening the road at the town's cost, other taxpayers' cost, rather than the person that developed the land. That placement of the house would be the same.
That's correct.
All right, that clarifies it. Thank you.
All right, we'll refer this case, 17 REZ09, to our Planning and Zoning Board also. Thank you very much. And we move on to our last public hearing, which is 17 REZ10, the Carpenter Upchurch Towns. And Mr. Ramage will introduce this item. And like the other two just before it, we will not be taking any action tonight. We'll refer it instead to the Planning and Zoning Board, and then it comes back to us for future action. Mr. Ramage.
Hey, good evening. This case is a zoning amendment request for a property of about 5.5 acres on Carpenter Upchurch Road. The site is located on the east side with Morrisville Carpenter, or about 1,100 feet north of Morrisville Parkway, and you see it outlined in yellow here. But this aerial view is probably a bit better to understand it. In the aerial, you can see immediately north of the site the assemblage of historic crossroads buildings that are certainly mark and denote that area. The site itself has been an agricultural use. It has a very long, 980-foot long frontage along Carpenter Upchurch Road. The depth of the site is fairly narrow. It varies in width from about 190 to 290 feet. And it backs up to the old Carpenter PDD. Old Carpenter was built from about 2007 to 2013. So this is the view looking south along Carpenter Upchurch, as if you're standing at the last house in the historic crossroads. So you're down from the general store, 2 or 3 homes. The last home looking south, this is your view. The property in question is on the left-hand side of the slide, and it covers all the fields you see, as well as all the way back to and including a portion of the tree line. The site is currently zoned Office Research and Development Conditional Use. There are 2 existing conditions. The first condition simply restricts the number of access points onto Carpenter Upchurch Road to no more than 3. And the second condition requires what they called a unity of development package when development plan approval goes through. So that's a term that refers to a package that requires that all development on the site should have a uniform building style, materials, and signage. So we haven't used those in a while. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property to residential multifamily conditional use, and there is a single proposed zoning condition, namely that land uses on the site be limited to townhomes at a maximum of 8 dwellings per acre. With the acreage involved, that yields a maximum of 43 townhomes. Under the proposed RMFCU zoning, the town ordinances would require the buffers shown on this slide. There would be a 20 to 30 foot type A buffer required adjacent Old Carpenter subdivision. To the north, near the last property in the crossroads area, a 50 foot type A buffer. No buffers required at the southern end because it backs up onto open space that's part of the PUD next door. And there's no streetscape buffer required because Carpenter Up Church Road is now designated a local street in this area. It's not a collector. The site is located within the Carpenter National Register Historic District. The district boundaries are outlined in blue on this map, and the subject parcel has the red star in the lower left of the slide, so you can see it. The National Register designation was approved in 2000. So now we're zoomed in a little bit on the western end of the National Register Historic District. The district outline now is colored red. The parcel is still indicated with the red star on the map. You'll see the blue shaded building footprints are all the contributing structures. So you see that most of the structures immediately north of the site at that historic crossroads are all contributing structures and hence are very important. For this site, the guiding portion of the Cary Community Plan is the Carpenter Special Planning Area, or SPA for short. Here we're zoomed in on the lower half of the Carpenter Future Growth Framework map. And as you may remember, each of the town's special planning areas get their own future growth framework map. And so that's the governing one in this case. So we're zoomed in. The site is outlined in the dashed black line. The site itself is located within an area that's called the Crossroads Village. It's indicated, it's that area that has the light brown shading on it with the number 9 in the middle. And that's immediately adjacent to a neighborhood area. The whole area shaded yellow is called Neighborhood South, and that's indicated, that includes Old Carpenter and Magnolia Estates, for example. So first, what does the plan mean by Crossroads Village? Well, the Crossroads Village, the vision for this is to build off the historic core of Carpenter to encourage retention of all the existing contributing buildings whilst encouraging some amount of context-sensitive infill. And by context-sensitive, it's both in terms of the use of the infill and in terms of the design, mass, and style of the infill. And lastly, within the area taken as a whole, the Crossroads Village, the other policy vision is to retain the character and ambiance of that area, retain the look and feel of the Crossroads Village. And you'll see it, everyone recognizes the historic Carpenter store in the photograph on the left. The subject site itself is vacant. It is definitely an infill site within the Crossroads Village, and the special planning area document has this to say about infill. It recommends that infill should utilize contextually appropriate scale, massing, landscaping, and vernacular architectural elements. Infill should also use similar setbacks and street orientations as existing buildings. So you're trying to encourage development that picks up some of the elements of the buildings up the road in terms of orientation, setback, size of the buildings, height of the buildings, and so forth. So one of the defining features of this part of the plan is the village trail, and it's that green dashed line you see proceeding north to south through the site. And the village trail follows right along the property line on the back of the site. The village trail is envisioned as containing a greenway with it inside of a dense vegetated buffer. And part of its purpose is to provide visual and spatial separation between Old Carpenter and Neighborhood South and the Crossroads Village. So it's not only a pedestrian amenity and a way to walk around and connect, it's also marks that you're leaving the core of the historic crossroads. In addition to the village trail providing a vegetated transition and a visual barrier, the plan also recommends that a transition should be formed by the type of new development itself that comes in on an infill site. And the plan recommends, for example, utilizing contextually appropriate, again to repeat, contextually appropriate scale, height, bulk, and setbacks, street orientation, landscaping, picking up some architectural elements, and taking cues from the area immediately adjacent and around the site. Infill development should also strive for compatibility in terms of how the fronting street is treated, and this, namely Carpenter Up Church Road immediately in front of the site. So this is now designated as a local road. You'll see the upper left photograph is looking north into the heart of the historic crossroads. You can see how there's no curb gutters, sidewalk. It has very much of a county rural road feel. The photograph immediately below backs us up about 1,000 feet down the road, and you can see the subject site on the right looking up towards the photograph on the top. So it's a local road, and the plan recommends that it be kept in its current configuration shown in those photos. And this is very different from the recommendations in the plan for the thoroughfares and collectors. As council would remember at the work sessions, everybody agreed that collectors and thoroughfares should have curb, gutter, sidewalk, street lights, that's especially Morrisville Carpenter Road, which we bypassed around north of the site, and the traffic was taken out of the heart of the historic district, and hence it's just a local street, and that's keeping it looking the way it does today is essential to the vision for that area. So, based on those policy recommendations from the Carpenter Special Planning Area, we basically have two observations on the rezoning request as it stands this evening. First, the use, the applicants requested townhomes. Well, townhomes could be an appropriate use, but only if the other relevant recommendations are also realized. So the plan document gives suggestions of types of infill that could be appropriate: single-family, detached, maybe townhomes, certainly not multifamily buildings. So the use itself could be appropriate. But as currently proposed, there's no assurance of achieving a compatible and contextually appropriate development in the future in terms of transition, streetscape architecture, setbacks, and so forth. Staff has begun looking into a new type of zoning district we could use here in Carpenter that would start to require some of these things, and we're just in the exploratory phase. But right now, we don't have any tools. So it would be up to the applicant to see what they could propose to ensure additional compatibility. There is our GIS mapping, does indicate the presence of 2 sections of Wake County soil survey streams on the site. Field verification will, of course, be needed prior to development plan. The site's currently served by Go Triangle Route 311 along NC 55, so it's only about a quarter-mile walk around the railroad crossing and out to catch the Go Triangle bus. In addition, the recently adopted Wake Transit Plan includes an expansion of Go Cary Transit, and we also envision adding eventually future routes, fixed routes along Highway 55. Mail notification of tonight's hearing was sent to all the properties shown in yellow on this map. And lastly, at the neighborhood meeting on March 1st, was held March 1st here at Town Hall. About 8 citizens attended, most from the adjacent neighborhood of Old Carpenter. Mostly there were a lot of questions. What does the Carpenter plan propose? What's the vision? What are the uses envisioned? There were a lot of questions about what does your current ORD zoning allow to have happen on the site? What is it you're asking for? And there were a lot of questions about the nature of the buffers that would be required. And lastly, the concerns that were raised had to do with traffic and road connectivity and concerns about the density proposed by the applicant. And I understand that we, for tonight's hearing, that one of the applicant's representatives, Jared Matthews, indicated he'd be available this evening to speak on behalf of the applicant. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Ramage. Would the applicant like to make some comments?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, council, and staff. I don't have anything to add to Mr. Ramage's, essentially his analysis, but we do stand by for any questions you may have, technically or otherwise, if we can. So, but
okay. Thank you very much. We may have some. It is time now to open the public hearing for 17 REZ 10 Carpenter Upchurch Towns, and if there are any speakers here, the first one may come forward.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Isaza. I'm a resident of and represent the subdivisions of the Estates of Old Carpenter, the Meadows of Old Carpenter, and Carpenter Village that are close to the property in question. We have a petition of 37 names in the neighborhood objecting to the rezoning request. I provided the clerk with a petition. Also, we have several property owners at the meeting opposition, and I would thank them for their patience for staying this late. Our main concerns about this proposed rezoning are as follows. First, it is in the historical district. The property is found within the boundaries of the Carpenter National Register of Historic District. 43 townhomes are not found in a rural community. The developer did not provide any plan, nor could he describe how the buildings would look like or what type of townhomes would be developed. 43 townhomes are too many homes on too small of a property. Our neighborhood appreciates the special rural feel of the historic district and wishes that it remains true to the spirit of the community plan. The buffer and the trail. The planning department staff report states that the RMF zoning would allow townhomes to be built within 10 to 18 feet of the road and without a streetscape. At the neighborhood meeting, the developer indicated that the landscape buffer, such as trees, would be less than normal and be taken out. This lack of a landscape buffer also would fail to make the townhomes blend into the historical district. The people in our neighborhood love to walk. The historic district does away with sidewalks and envisions a village trail to be used instead. The proposed rezoning plan does not incorporate the village trail or sidewalks. The townhomes would not encourage walkability to the historic district, stores, or restaurant. Indeed, the historical plan envisions a hub of greenways merging all around the Farrell store and in that area, where joggers, cyclists, neighbors, and others could all enjoy a rest or get together, have maybe an ice cream, coffee, maybe go shopping, or just get together, have a conversation with friends. If this proposal passes, our entire town of Cary loses this opportunity. Instead, the rezoning takes advantage of the historic district provisions without providing any benefit to the surrounding communities. Our subdivision also has multiple questions on the community entrance, grading, and drainage issues, but without a plan and more details, we can merely point out concerns of present drainage issues being exacerbated by this proposed development. Traffic and cutting through the neighborhood. In order to get to Highway 55, the townhome owners would have to make a left turn at the stop sign at Morrisville Carpenter Road. A traffic bottleneck will occur during peak hours, aggravated by the railroad crossing. To avoid this bottleneck, the residents of townhomes will be tempted to cut through our neighborhood. Our subdivision already faces this problem. The construction of townhomes will only make this problem worse. So in conclusion, the historic district, if appropriately preserved and developed, will be a unique Cary destination, linking its rural past with the present. As Cary grows more urban, this rural community will only become more precious. We request that the City Council ensures that future development of this property and the historic district complies with the spirit and guidelines of the community plan. Also, the village trail should be built to encourage access to the stores and parks found in other sections of the community. Finally, we would like to bring to the council's attention that several neighbors who live close to the property previously met with the developer at the neighborhood meeting and brought up all these concerns. The developer failed to make any changes that we know. So thank you very much for this opportunity to address our concerns.
Thank you very much. Are there any other speakers?
My name is Alex Crow. I'm speaking on behalf of the developer on this project. And this is just quickly, we are not opposed to walking trails. We're not opposed to any architectural guidelines on this project. We're not opposed to improving this in any way. That we're not going to do a mixed-use project. I think that they, particularly some of the neighbors, were encouraging a mixed-use project, which I believe is a higher impact on this property than what we're proposing. And if trails are needed or architectural guidelines, we plan to follow all architectural guidelines that are proposed to us. And that's how we plan to develop this project, following all your guidelines. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and ask for comments or questions.
I'd like to make some comments. Don just pointed to me because he knew I would. You know, I think we all agree that we set this area aside to be a special place, a place where people would want to convene, a place that people would talk about, and it would really be a gem for Western Cary. Whatever gets built in this area needs to enhance this area, needs to enhance the buildings to the north. I don't think that townhomes are appropriate as part of this. I don't see that ever being I think we wanted to create something that would be not just harmonious place to live, but also a place that people would want to come to. And I was talking to Kathy earlier, and she was pointing out that a lot of families come to Western Cary for Thomas Brooks Park or the tennis courts. And when you're coming to those sites, you might want to stop by and do something else. You might want to take a younger sibling while one kid is practicing at the tennis courts to a place like this and walk around. And I just don't think this achieves it at all. I think it's not what our vision was. And just to the applicant, I would say, if you intend to adhere to the plans, to the ideas of the plans, you have to put those elements in conditions. Otherwise, it's not enforceable. So everything has to be conditioned in there. But even if conditions were added to this townhome community, I personally don't think it's the right fit. And I think we'd be missing an opportunity to achieve something great in this area.
I agree with you. It's not often that I come to meetings with prepared remarks. I usually just kind of say what's on my mind. When I was reading the staff report on this one, I actually decided to prepare some remarks.
So you have an opinion?
You do that.
Usually they're on my mind, I get a few things out, bam, bam, bam. But as you so eloquently stated, this is a very special area of Cary and something that we've worked very hard over the years to protect and preserve. And there was a lot of things that stood out to me in the staff report, which first was just, as currently proposed, the requested rezoning does not appear to provide a reasonable degree of confidence and assurance that future development will be contextually appropriate and conform to the recommendations of the Carpenter Special Planning Area. These findings and conclusions are explained in detail in the report, which they were, as your reports always are very detailed, Scott.
Thank you.
And the Cary Community Plan Conformance and Analysis. The report further says that the only transitions of which the town might be assured of are the perimeter buffers and setbacks required by the land development ordinances. And while these buffers and setbacks might provide reasonable transitions in locations other than Carpenter, within the Carpenter Special Planning Area, these alone will not guarantee the type of context-sensitive transitions permitted by the plan. Policy 3 recommends having a limited number of units per building in the case of townhomes, and there is currently no assurance in the proposed zoning that this will occur. Point to your conditions. The proposed zoning does not offer any assurance that future development will incorporate historically compatible architectural or landscape elements. The proposed zoning does not offer any assurance that future development will be compatible in terms of building orientation, setbacks, height, or massing. In fact, Carpenter Upchurch Road in front of the site is now, as Scott pointed out earlier, a local street on the transportation plan, and as such, the RMF zoning could allow these townhomes to be built within 10 to 18 feet of the road without a streetscape. Such an occurrence would not support or maintain the historic character of Carpenter. I can't remember many staff reports that state so bluntly that this does not comply. So in reading the staff report, I basically asked myself, so basically I'm being asked to support a rezoning request that doesn't comply with our plans, doesn't protect the character and charm of the historic district, and doesn't receive the support of our professional town staff. How am I going to do that? I can't tell you how disappointed I am that when you came up, you had nothing further to add. And not prepared. I would hope you read our staff report and maybe got kind of the gist that this might not go well, and that you might come better prepared with some illustrations, conditions, or something to maybe ease some of the concerns that were laid out in the staff report. But she didn't. You're not opposed to trails and guidelines and things, but there's nothing in the application or the staff report that suggests such. So based on this council's efforts and desire to protect this specific part of Cary, my advice to you would be stop and go back to the drawing board and maybe try again.
Mr. George, you had some comments.
Yes, I do. I think that the timing of not having special guidelines, Scott, as you said, haven't developed what those elements should be in this area. And so I think we're
I actually should have a point of correction.
Okay.
We actually had, thanks to our own Anna Redling, there was a contract with historic preservation consultants maybe 7 years ago. We have design guidelines for historic Carpenter. It wasn't possible to write them for Green Level, but we have them for Carpenter. They're not officially adopted, unlike the town's community appearance manual, where there's things you have to do. So we have it, and Anna gives it to applicants if they want to find out more about it. We had started turning those guidelines for Carpenter into a sample ordinance to say, could we write an ordinance that would start codifying those guidelines? We haven't gotten terribly far with the notion with all the other competing priorities. But we have guidelines we can give someone if they want to know what's recommended.
Right, which is why the conditions are so important. Because if it was codified in an ordinance, you wouldn't have to have the conditions because it would be mandated upon them by the law. But because it's not, we need them as conditions.
That's what I was getting at. So that's where I was going with this. So it's because they're not, he came in at a time where they're not codified. So if we've got things that are out there, what it would be incumbent upon the applicant to do would be to dig into not just the staff report, but into all the information that they could accumulate, whether it was what Anna could provide or whatever. It'd be incumbent upon them to look at all of that and write those conditions, so that they basically be getting inside the heads of those that have had ideas what should be done. So because it's not codified, they obviously didn't have to they don't have something to go by, but they've got something they could look at as an example.
Well, I would, before he answers your question, I would respectfully disagree. We're not asking them to write the ordinances or the codification, right? What we did was we provided the Imagine Cary documents that actually specifies pretty well the architectural historic requirements, the streetscape discussion, the trails discussion. I mean, it's there. We're not asking them to codify it. We're just asking them to put some conditions so that it aligns with the plan. I think that's what Jennifer's suggesting.
That's right. And I think this is a good example of the challenges that we're going to have going forward. Yes. Because applicants are going to read the vision plan, the community plan, and if it's not codified in ordinance, it's incumbent upon them to prove to us that they're complying with the community plan. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to do that, or else we're going to have to say no if it doesn't comply with the plan. And that I see it tonight a couple times. I think we're going to see it over and over and over again, where the community plan, because it was drafted as this kind of vision, people are like, oh, that's the vision, but this is really great. So let me go and divert this direction and hope that they agree with me that it's really great. So we're just.
I'm glad you said that. Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off, Mr. George.
No, so where I was going, and I had suggestions. That's where I was going. Is that, for instance, had they read this page, this slide 68, which obviously anybody could read, because if you're going to develop, you'd think you'd want to read the Cary Community Plan about that particular area, then I would think that they would want to have things that met the historic character, whether there's tin roofs, whether it's the white planks, anything, and I had a list of other things, but there's just nothing there that I see that this would tend to make me want to fit in in terms of Transition Street architecture. Nothing said about architecture, and all he offers to make it fit. We have no rules for architecture, but there's clearly pictures of architecture. You can drive over there and see architecture. So I agree with Don. I don't think there was a, Don, I appreciate it. I don't think there was a attempt to see what fit and write that in and coming forward, but just to say 43 townhomes, it's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm-
Yeah, great.
No, guys, you guys are having fun. Go ahead.
Well, I was just, so my only comments, I don't want to repeat anything else that,
Yeah.
anything that someone said. I think that with Imagine Cary, we determined that our historical context and our special planning areas, that's what we call them special, were of the highest importance, right? And honestly, for me, this is a real test of our collective commitment to the Imagine Cary process and our vision, especially since this is within a National Register Historic District. I think that there were so many items within this proposal that are lacking. No matter what, we should see as this, if it moves forward and if the developer decides to move forward, all of these things need to be addressed, especially the pedestrian access, especially the architectural components. We've given a lot of feedback. We specifically, as a council, decided not to codify that in order to give developers the opportunity to be creative, right? To come up with, we didn't want to tell you that every house has to be beige, right? We didn't tell you what the roof has to be. We gave you examples so that you would codify and create conditions and have some creative opportunity. And to not have a single one of those items identified, to me, shows a real lack of insight and commitment to our Imagine Cary process, from my perspective.
Wow. I was going to say that exactly that. But well, I don't want to get us into, we just spent all these years with the community plan. I love the idea that we're giving the development community that flexibility and supposedly tapping their talent. And I want to make sure, as you said, the collective thought up here is if it doesn't meet that, there's the power of no. I don't want to start like we did with our old plan from the 90s, is add another layer of this, and then an overlay of this, and an overlay of that. And by the time you know it, you have 10 overlays, and they all contradict. So I found it interesting that it was townhomes. And my visceral reaction is, how do you make that work in an area like this? Had you come in with some compelling architecture, some compelling things around the SBA and all of the other things, guess what? Maybe that could sway my opinion where it can blend with a historic area. But I got to tell you, and then coming up and say, oh, well, we'll put the trails in, whatever you want. It's your job to have it in before you get here and waste our time. I mean, that's as simple as it is. I'm not even sure this is, I don't know what we're legally allowed to do, but to waste the P&Z's time, I don't know. I'd like to see this thing tabled or something. That's all I can say.
Yeah, this is a tough one, and I mean, you've heard all the comments, and you have the decision whether you want to move on with this or totally change it or do what you want to do. I'm always of the mind that applicant pays their money. They should have the full process.
Sure.
And we move it on to P&Z. In the meantime, there's a lot of work to be done, and it's up to the applicant to really decide, what they need to do or how to do it. But obviously, a lot has to be done. It's not going to get too far when it comes back to us. I don't know. Did you have a? Okay. You'd prefer it?
I don't know that we can legally
I don't think we can table, right?
They can request a table, right?
Can they?
Yeah.
So you can ask that, what would be the purpose of the tabling?
And he's not even here. The person's not even here. No, he's not even here.
Yeah, please.
I
I would request a table to address all the issues that you've just described. I think there was not a lot of clarity when I spoke with staff about this project. There was, when Imagine Cary was passed, there was not a lot of clarity and about the historical overlay, the architecture. We didn't want to commit to anything at the time about these things, so I would rather table it now and address all of these issues that you're just now describing and come back with something that is more appropriate, at least something that I feel like when I present to you that it would be our best product for you, because I believe we will address all of these issues as best that we can, and I would like the opportunity to do that.
Is the request to table indefinitely till you're prepared to come back? I don't want to create an artificial deadline for you.
No,
1 month, and we'll come back next month.
Really, then I think we could refer, I don't know if you have to come back to us first. I would think if we referred this to the Planning and Zoning Board, it's going to be a month anyway, is it not?
Yeah, there's the opportunity to refer it, and then the opportunity for another public hearing at that point. Between now and then, you can work up whatever.
Recondition it, do new conditions, like just go back through it, address these issues, and come back with something that we feel is more acceptable to you, and we'll give our best to you, and then you can decide whether or not.
Right, if you make any changes whatsoever, and we follow our regular process and move it on to the Planning and Zoning Board, there will be another public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Board.
Right.
Then you come back here. So I don't know what to me, it sounds like we should just move it along.
That is certainly, that is an option.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think this is a project that is of such importance to us. I want the council to see it again with revised changes. It would have to change dramatically.
Yes.
For it to be something that we can support. And therefore, I think it needs to come back to the council. I think the citizens who live nearby, who are stakeholders in this area, need to have the opportunity to address the council about these dramatic changes. And I'll just say to you, when you look at whatever you're going to do on this site, I mean, you have to go into it with an inspiration to make this a really special place, because that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for something that it could be anywhere USA and you just drop into it and it's the suburbs and that's really nice. We're looking for something super special, and we're looking for it to actually take this area and make it even greater than.
I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to build that. And so I just got to figure out how to do it. When I came to a zoning, as you know, when you do these neighborhood meetings, when you do these meetings with these neighborhoods, and it's a zoning committee, I don't bring a site plan. I don't bring architectural drawings to those meetings when I meet with these neighbors. It's not required. That's not what we do. When we meet with these neighbors, we're talking about zoning. And when I talk about zoning, I'm talking about how many units. And that's what we're required to do at those meetings. And so that's what I did at that meeting. It was not clarity. I didn't bring architectural drawings. I didn't bring the site plan. I didn't lay out the whole engineering scheme for them for that meeting. You know, and so I'm willing to do that for them and for you, and come back with a sharper plan for you. But at that time, when you do these neighborhood meetings that we're required to do as developers, we're not asked to lay out the entire plan for them at that meeting.
Right, and just for clarification, we're not expecting you to lay out the entire plan, but we are expecting you to come forward with conditions that would then basically match, yeah, or obligate you to being able to accomplish that.
And there was a little bit of lack of clarity after the Imagine Cary plan, and when we talked to staff, there was, it just like in dealing with staff and this and other things, there, you know, sometimes there's just a lot because it's new. And you're trying to figure it out. We're all trying to figure it out. Staff's trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure it out. We're all trying to figure it out. Sometimes it becomes difficult. And
Okay.
so,
we're not trying to figure it out.
We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I'm fine tabling it. I would recommend that you ask for an indefinite table, and then you can bring it back to the council whenever you're ready. That way, if it's 1 month and a day, you're not coming before you're ready.
Thank you.
And then I would suggest that we open up a new public hearing.
Just so I understand the process, if we table it again, because we closed the public hearing.
Do we?
We'd have to, so we would have to have another public hearing, I believe. Is it better for them to withdraw it and offer them a waiver to come back? Because
there a
if you
cost
table
difference
it,
to them?
if you table it, you have to open.
I'm not looking to charge them extra money, so I mean, is there an extra cost for doing that, or?
Probably.
Just reapply.
Sorry, so
I
legally,
would-
what are the options?
I think it could probably be tabled, and Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, with the understanding that when it came back to council, we'd wait for the applicant to let staff know it was prepared, ready, and at that time, there's the expectation there would be another public hearing at the council level.
So we could have another public hearing.
And another staff report.
Yes. An updated
Obviously.
staff report, yes.
And just so you know, while we're looking for some of the things that we've discussed and things here, one of the reasons we set up the neighborhood meeting on the front end of the process is so applicants and the community can meet and hear about the project, and the applicant can receive public comment and feedback and work some of that possibly into their project. I think you've probably heard some things from the public that we're also looking to see, and I hope you pay attention to that.
We will.
So do we need a motion for this, Chris, or can the applicant just request this and?
Council would need to vote to table it at the request of the applicant indefinitely.
Yeah, then I would make that motion to table indefinitely. That gives you the flexibility.
Thank you. Yes, that's
There
what
a
I'm
second?
Second.
Further discussion?
I'd have a question for council that, assuming this would come back with changes, which would require us advertising for a new meeting, is there any desire to have another neighborhood meeting
Yes.
prior?
That's a good point.
We'd have to know whether
Yeah,
that we should
we're
work
saying we're
in your
learning.
motion.
Yeah.
Should we go all the way back to the beginning and say, have another neighborhood meeting at Town Hall and then schedule a public hearing?
Yes, sir.
That's
I
a great
think
point.
so.
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
like you
I
got
mean,
a lot of yeses there.
you know, I just say, look at 68 in the second paragraph. I mean, that kind of just jumps out at you right there. But I think what we're learning is this is a historic district. And but whatever manner, shape we have our codes and our processes, we want to get it right for a historic district. So I think going back makes sense, where you go back to the drawing board, and you, when you're ready to come back, do your announcements and do your neighborhood meeting again. That's what I would like to see.
Looks like that's.
Can
we
that
have
be a motion?
Second.
Yes.
So motion and second's been done.
Does the motion need to include the extra public hearing as well?
Yes.
So it's to hold.
And notification.
To table it indefinitely until a resubmittal, and that resubmittal hold another public hearing and also a neighborhood meeting.
That's what I said.
Yes,
That's what
okay.
exactly like
I
she
heard
said.
Jack say that.
Okay, Don agrees as a second.
All right. All right. If no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that's unanimous. Thank you for your time and your patience with us. There are no discussion items tonight, nor is there a closed session. But before we adjourn, I would like to remind everyone, if you haven't had enough of a meeting so far tonight, the council will be holding a public work session after a short break over in the training room of the police department, which is the building next door. And I've just been told that due to the length of this meeting, one of the items on that agenda, and we'll have to decide when we get over there, but may not be discussed, and that's the downtown park planning process. So if you're really interested in that, we may or may not be discussing that, but we'll have to table that or do what we have to do over at the work session. I think all we need now.
I move.
Adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
This has been a production of Cary TV. Visit the Town of Cary's website at townofcary.org.